Bonjour, Ani Kinawea. Get you McWatch Kibashaya, Mon P, and the Schnabek Nation Gizes o Mizunigan, and the Schnabemwin Kirwinan. Miigwech Wendam, Jessica Jonias, Be Kinoma, Ge Yang Nongum. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming here for the webinar featuring Anishinaabe words and phrases from the annual calendar. Thank you, Jessica, for teaching us today. Ali Darne and Dijnakas, Gitagan Zibi and Donjaba, Anishinaabe Amy Gan Zikadong, manager, Anishinaabe Nation in Donjanaki. I'm Ali Darnay from the Ojibways of Garden River. I work for the Anishinaabe Nation as the Anishinaabe manager. The Anishinaabe Nation established the Anishinaabe Department in January of 2023 to support language preservation, reclamation, and revitalization. Ngichinendam ji nakito gwa yidin winna miigwech. I'm happy to work with our language and grateful. Nahau Gintam Lori Maba Anishinaabe and Keed, our coordinator, Lori McLeod Shabagijik. It's your turn, Lori. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Nahau, wewe boshokin wea, benabe kwen indishna kas, benesin dodem, chigging meanwhile taganing and ishnabe kwen dao. I'm really happy to see you all here today. And as per our usual process, I'm just going to be starting you off with Ngudwe Wangazit Anishinaabe. As Ali mentioned, I'm her counterpart, the Anishinaabe Enakit, and I'm very happy to have joined the Anishinaabe program. I like to do the Ngudwe one.
Yeah.
I like to do the Ngudwe one because a little slowly because I think these words are so powerful, and so I like us to kind of think about them and really feel the impact of them. Now, miigwech. Next slide, please, Ali. Debenjaget gi son Anishinaabe and a king. Kibidagon got an em and a doa dizuan. Creator placed Anishinaabe on the earth along with the gift of spirituality. Skure nebe ake noden, gibidagostanon we nagadawen man mampish kagmigong. Here on Mother Earth, there were gifts given to the Anishinaabe to look after: fire, water, earth, and wind. Debenjaget giminan gitchatwawan dogok, Anishinaben wa nagdunjin nindanishwaswe kinomadwinan. Creator gave Anishinaabe 7 gifts to guide them. They are Zagidwin, Debwewin, Manadendamwin, Nabwakawin, Dabadendiswin, Gwekwadzuwin, Minwa Akadeowin. Love, truth, respect, wisdom, humility, honesty, and bravery. Debenjaget Kimin Guna, Dedbinwe Winagadawinduin. Creator gave us sovereignty to govern ourselves. Kamana Dendana Gabejawebak, Minwa Nango Mega Ejawebak, Minwa Giabe Wan Ejawebak. We respect and honor the past, present, and future. Chimiigwech. And that's the preamble to the Anishinaabe Nation Constitution, and that was adopted by our Grand Council in June 2011. Just before we head into Jessica's presentation, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the calendars. As many of you know, the Anishinaabe Nation has been producing our calendars for the last 3 years, and we're so very excited that this year we finally we have funding for the calendar, and so we're planning the 2025 one. And so if anyone has Anishinaabe websites, podcasts, any kinds of resources that you would like to have included in the calendar, please do let us know. The calendar is primarily circulated in Anishinaabe territory, both on reserve, off reserve, but it also goes across Canada and into the US. So the catchment area is pretty large. So we hope that you will, if you have things that you would like to share in the calendar, please do let us know. And so that's, here's my contact information. It is at the bottom here, but I can also put it in the chat, mcllau@anishinaabeg.ca. Chimiigwech. I'll pass it back to you now, Ali, to introduce our fabulous speaker.
Nahau. Get them to introduce you to our facilitator today, Jessica Jonias, sharing phrases to use with our children. Jessica Miigwanabikwe Jonias is Caribou Clan and a member of Rama First Nation who was raised in her mother's community, Watukamashing, Anishinaabeg. Jessica is the Anishinaabe Nagan Zid for Rama, overseeing the implementation of Rama's language reclamation strategy, which includes Wasa and Nabjik Immersion Nest. She is also a co-founder of Eshkinishnabemjik, Anishinaabe Adult Immersion Program, and co-host of the Language Podcast. Jessica and her partner, B. Dobbin, together have 3 sons who they speak the language to at home in Rama. Gitchimigwech, Jessica, for joining us today. We'll turn it over to you.
How Chimigwech Gigi. Migochki Quajimagoya, we be Giga de ya, meanwhile, we be Kinomagaya, Nangwa. Migoch Lori, Esna Gi Min Togus. Meanwhile, Gigi Ali, Gwek Ki Kit Danoswin. So not a lot of people are able to say my name properly. I want to acknowledge that you did very well, and same for Lori for those beautiful words. I won't introduce myself because we just went through that, so I'm not going to make you sit through that again. Nangwa Dush need the batan Benojiak Kidwinan. Meanwhile, Waja Becca, I'm Batosh in here. Waja, how do we say that? How to talk to kids? Holy jeez. How to talk to kids. So as we were mentioning earlier, Lori asked me to offer some words for this Giso Mazinagan. And because I speak the language to my sons at home, and we're doing a lot of work here in Rama, a lot of good work with the early years immersion, I thought, well, I can offer you some words on that. So without further ado, we'll get into them, and I'll break them down a little bit more for you. So some of these were just words that I know I use a lot in my own, and some of them Laurie encouraged me to offer. So yeah. So Bejik, the first one, Gadagindamona, that's what that one says. The translation there says, would you like me to read a story? That's not how I would actually translate that into English. So what happens a lot of the time is how we say something in English. Like, a lot of us were learning language, so we're thinking in English first, and how that natural phraseology would come out in English would be, would you like me to read a story? And then I thought about that, and there probably would be a way that you could say that, like Gedundawendana we gindamona. So would you like for me to read to you? That would be maybe a little bit more closely to how someone might say, would you like me to read a story? But I'm also thinking, when I'm doing these words, that keeping a learner in mind, what's something that gets at the same function of saying that and is a little bit more easy to say and remember. So that's why I went with Gadagin Namona. So just a little I don't know what the word is, disclaimer before we get into these words. Not everything is going to match up perfectly in translation from one language to another. Memdegego Jaganashimwin Minwan Nishnabemwin. So especially in English, in our language, because if they did, it would be the same language. So if you have a good translator, they will not translate word for word. There's a way that we try to say something in English, and then there's a way that we try to say something in Nishnabemwin. And they're a little bit different word for word, but a good translation is more like, what is the gist of it? Or like, how would a Anishinaabe speaker say it in their language, and then how would a Jaganashim speaker say it in their language, if that makes sense. So Gadagin Namona means, should I read you a story, or could I read you a story? And that's a little bit more easy for us to say, and it gets at that same function. So that's what that one means. If I took out the na, then I would be saying a full sentence. I could or should or would read you a story. So when you see that word na, it's changing a statement into a yes or no question. You're meaning the answer is either going to be yes, I want you to read it, or no, I don't. And then when you add na, you're turning it into could I read you a story? That kind of thing. Yeah. I'm trying, when I'm going I'm trying to stop myself from going on a tangent because I was going to talk about another na, but we'll get there. So, Echo Nijing number 2, Apish Gagidzian. Where are you sore? That's really what that's saying. So, kid falls down or they're sick or whatever that might be. You might say to them, Ani Shejawebzian. So what's wrong? What happened to you? They might tell you, and then you might ask, where is it sore? So Apish Gagidzian. Where are you sore? Where does it hurt? Where does it ache? That kind of thing. So your Apish, that's your question word for where. Gagidze would be the root word there, and that would mean he or she is sore or aches. And then when you add the yin, that's turning it into like a where question, because we have that where. So Apish Gagidzian, where are you sore? Swe, number 3, Dopnishin, pick me up. I hope you don't say that to your kid, but your kid might want to say that to you. So that's why that one's there. That one's pretty straightforward. The root word of that one would be dopin, and that's a command. You're telling the person that you're talking to pick someone else up. Dopin, pick him or her up. So if you're a parent, right, and you got a newborn, you might want to say, pick up the baby, dopin bebis or bibis, however your dialect, or bonojis, however your dialect says that. So you're telling the person you're talking to do that action to someone else. When you add the shin at the end, now you're saying that do the action to me, dopin the shin. So that's a good word for your babies to know. Oh, Shataha, Amy, yeah. I don't know if I could teach Amy anything new, but the Shinwi Wabmanat, good to see you. And number 4, I think it went down there as we were typing. So I got my calendar right here. Old school. So I'll just read it while they scroll up for that. So for Niu and Echo Niwing, I have Gleidopinen. I'm going to pick you up. So you're using the same root word there, dopin, pick him or her up. And then there's a couple of things that are going on. So myself, Gaigi Nishnabim Sigi Kwezansuya. I didn't speak the language when I was a girl. Avdekni Skonwikadon P Kwewia. So I had to learn it as I was an adult, that once I was a woman. So as myself as an adult, how I'm doing it is like you'll see very grammar based. Because by the time I had started learning, I was past the point of just picking it up in immersion. Immersion is great, it'll get you really far, but you kind of need immersion in studying the patterns. If you're a kid, like at Wasa and Abhijit, you just need to be spoken to, and that's fine. But I'm kind of sharing it from my perspective. So for myself, I'm trying to say, oh, I want to pick you up. So I know my root, dopin, pick him or her up, and then I want to add the G at the front there and the IN at the end. So when I put gadopin in over that dopin, I'm saying I'm picking you up. Then in my learner mind, I want to add the want to or going to part. So that's what that we part is. So that's the I'm going to or I want to pick you up. So put that all together and you come out with Gleidopinen. I'm going to pick you up or I want to pick you up. However you want to translate that, it gets to the same function. So like the big theme for myself in learning language is don't be don't be glued to what is the direct translation, because nothing is going to directly translate. You want to think of what is the function. So if you want to translate that as I'm going to pick you up or I want to pick you up, it gets at the same function. So you can translate that either way. Next slide, please. Number 5. I also just want to let you all know if you have questions, feel free to ask as we go, because otherwise I'll just keep going down a tangent. So you can put them in the chat or raise your hand. I think we have some folks moderating for us. So I want to keep it useful to you who are listening. Okay, so number 5, begidna shin, put me down. Again, I don't think you're gonna say that to your kid. It could actually, no, you still wouldn't say it because there's actually maybe there's more than 2 meanings here. But again, let's go through this. So this root word here is begidin. And that would be to put something down or to release something. So again, we're not married to the direct translation. We're thinking about what is the function of it. So if you think of releasing or allowing or putting something down, it's getting at the same function. And then depending on the context, your brain will understand which direct meaning is it referring to, right? So you'll hear this a lot with Sama. Our tobacco is something animate, it's sacred. We speak of it like we would a person. So you might hear begidin Sama, release your Sama, offer it. Let's say you got a teenager and they want to go sleep out at a friend's house or go to a dance. So you might say to them begidin, so allow them, right, to go out or do whatever. Right, or put the baby down, begidin babies. So in that case, you're not allowing them or releasing them, you're putting them down. So there's a couple ways that you can use that. So again, you'll see that root word begidin, it's a command. Once we have that command, we can start adding things onto it. So in this case, we're adding the shin or ishin because it just flows a little bit better, begidnishin. So put me down. That might be something that your little one might want to say. And then you can say, now how? Gui begidnin. Okay, I'm going to put you down. So again, it's following that same pattern. I'm starting with my begidin to put or release or allow something. When I'm doing it to you, it's always going to start with that G, and it's going to end with that in. Like if you think of I love you, gazogin starts with a G, ends with an IN. So that's the I'm doing it to you. And then that we part is your tense, and that is the going to or want to. So gui begidnin, I'm going to put you down. Very cool how you're highlighting it like that. I do that too when I'm at home, miigwech. Number 7, Nijwaswa. Gamami Quenmin, I'm proud of you. So again, we're seeing the pattern here where I'm doing something to you. In this case, it's a certain way that I'm thinking of you. You're thinking really good thoughts, you're overjoyed, you're proud of them, that kind of thing. It's going to start with a G and end with an in, I to you. And then my root word in there is mommy quennim. I don't think you would command someone to be proud of someone else. In theory, you could, but that's the root word that you're working with. And then the words that end in that ennim or endum, it's letting you know that there's a thought process happening or a feeling process. So that's how you're thinking or feeling towards that person. Gamami Quenmin, we use that one all the time at home with our boys. Number 8, I'm going to change your diaper. Gui anpinin. You'll also hear gui anchpinin depending on where your dialect is from. It's the same thing. You'll be understood regardless. It's just however you want to say it. I always learn how to say gui anchpinin. So that that AAN or AANJ, on or anch, is letting you know that something is being changed. Yeah. And then again, starting with the G, ending with IN, I'm doing it to you. So I could say, I wouldn't if I got rid of the tense, I wouldn't say gone pinin. I would say gadon pinin. There's a D that becomes like a present tense that happens in this region of Anishinaabe when speaking. So you could say, I'm changing your diaper, gadon pinin. But you're letting them know, right? Sawbai babies, the baby's wet. And then you're gonna go, oh, okay, naha guyan pinin. I'm gonna change your diaper. I think in English we would say, let's change your diaper or let's change your bum. Um, I've never really heard of a way of a speaker say it like that. They would say a little bit more direct, like this is what I'm gonna do for you. Silly question as a childless cat lady, childless cat lady. Does Gui Dapanin work for cats? Yeah, you could say that to your cat. I'm gonna pick you up for sure. Okay, number 9. Next slide, please. Or Jean Sue. Gabakadena, are you hungry? So again, bakade, that would be your root word. You could say that about someone. He or she is hungry. Bakade bibis or bakade. So the baby's hungry, or bakade ni Jonas, my child is hungry. When you're adding the G at the front, gabakade, now it's you are hungry. Um, again, I don't think you would really tell someone you're hungry. They know. But you might turn that into a yes, no question. So that's where you're seeing that na. So we went from bakade, he or she is hungry, gabakade, you're hungry, to gabakade na, are you hungry? Yeah, bakade. Pretty straightforward. Yes, I'm hungry. So you'll see how that number 9 switched to number 10. All we really did there was we changed the G to an N. Now I'm letting you know that it's actually me that's hungry. And then that's our word for yes. That one's pretty straightforward. Number 11, Medaswa Shibirjik. Gui non in. I'm going to breastfeed you, or I want to breastfeed you. I can't remember what the English phrasing was for that. I can't even think of what I was trying. I guess you could, I wonder if I have it on here. I guess you could say I'll feed you, or I want to feed you. You might say gui shamin. Um, but I really, for the breastfeeding moms and parents in the house, I'm one of them. I really like that word nona, and I'm trying to bring it back. So that's why I decided to go with that one. If you don't breastfeed though, you can just say guishamin, and you could still say that even if you are breastfeeding. So I'm gonna feed you. Not doesn't have to be milk, could be food, could be anything. But in this case, I like that word goinon in. There's also the word none for someone who is breastfeeding. I think it actually means like suckling. But that was one of the words I learned when I first became a mother myself. Number 12, Medaswa Shinij, Weganish Wamijian. So what do you want to eat? So you ask them, are you hungry? They say, yeah. And then the next question is Weganish Wamijian, what do you want to eat? Weganish, that's your what. Some people might say Wenish for what. It's the same thing. You'll be understood regardless. So it's really just up to your preference. You'll see the root word there is actually mijin. All that's left once we conjugated it was mij, I guess. Because it just, I don't know why. I don't think it would sound very good if it was like Neshwa mijin, and you wouldn't really be understood there. So that's where the root word is coming from. So mijin is to eat something. Yin is indicating that it's you that's doing the eating. And then the wa, it's similar to that other tense we've seen everywhere else, like in number 11, we. That's the going to or wants to. What's happening here is those double I's are it's called initial change, where those I's change to A's, wa. And that's one of the rules you would use to ask a content question, like a who, what, where, when, why, how, that kind of thing. There's a bunch of other stuff that functions for, but for today's purpose, we'll just stick with the content questions, the who, what, where, when, why. So it's what you kind of did there is you've taken the word mijin, eat something. So I guess gamijin would be you're eating it. When we add another step, we get rid of the G and change it to mijin when you eat something or if you eat something. And then we've added another step and changed the we to wa mijin. So if you hear that, if I heard wa mijin on its own, how I would understand that word is like the thing that you want to eat. So it's like we've taken mijin, an action or a verb, and we've turned it into like essentially a noun, like the thing that you want to eat, and then we added the what. So Ganesh, what's the thing that you want to eat? So everything is very verb based, even nouns. I would go out on a limb and say Wamijian kind of functions as a noun, but it came from a verb. So that's how you would ask that question. Number 13, medaswish and swe. So a couple of ways you could answer. Talking about food is it's not good. It's difficult. Because everyone knows Wiesnen, eat, or Wiesnick, eat, or Wiesnada, let's eat. Um, and that's only really used if you're talking about the action of eating. Someone might give me a call on the phone. Oh, Ani Shna Nankian, what are you doing? It's 6 o'clock. And oh, Noisen, I'm eating. Right. So it is dinner time and I'm eating. That's when I would use that word when I'm just describing the action of eating. Now if someone asks me, oh, Wegenish Emigian, what are you eating? A little bit different from Wamijian. What do you want to eat? So what are you eating? I can't use that word wisne anymore to tell you the food that I'm eating, because it's an intransitive verb. I know people don't like when we get into this transitive, intransitive stuff. But basically, what I'm trying to say is the only time you can use Wiesne is just talking about the action. Once we switch the question to what is it that you're eating, it depends if the language views that food as animate, living, or inanimate, non-living. Because then when I say, for example, number 13, I'm eating a cookie or I want to eat a cookie, it's viewed as animate. I don't want to say in every dialect because I don't know every dialect. In the dialect that I know and speak, and a lot of dialects that I know, we would view a cookie of Quejigos as animate. And generally across the board, what I see happen is generally gwech is Quejigan bread is usually considered inanimate for the most part. And then what I also notice happening is a lot of food that comes from bread or is made of bread is considered animate. Did I say that right? So Bakwejigan, non-living, inanimate. And then we view other foods like pizza, cookies, trying to think what else comes, cereal. You'll hear a lot of speakers talk about it like it's living or animate. I don't know why. Lots of people have these different, because it's like I've heard because the yeast and then the yeast grows and rises, so it's living, which like, yeah, technically it is. But then why do they talk about bread inanimately, like it's non-living? Because it does the same thing, right? So what I'm trying to say is just accept it. There's you can come up with these different like thinking as to why something is and why something isn't. I don't think we'll ever really know because you might come up with this idea and then you'll turn around and go, but then the speaker just said they talked about it like it's non-living. So it's just you'll find loopholes in that kind of thinking and you'll drive yourself a little bit bonkers. So myself, I just accept it. Anyway, so if I'm eating something, I gotta switch my verb. I can't say I'm eating a cookie. I can't say Kwejigans Nuisen. Doesn't make sense. It just you're saying cookie, I'm eating. You're not saying I'm eating the cookie. So you would have to switch to the verb that is in number 13, moi, to eat something considered living. So I could say Kwejigos moi. So I'm eating the cookie. In this case, the kid, your kid is telling you what they want to eat. If they're a cookie monster like my son, I think that's why I went with this. I want to eat the cookie. So Kwejigos moi. So I want to eat a cookie. Or whatever else food. I hear damen, corn a lot of time is animate, some damen moi. If you're talking about a certain kind of meat, if you don't add the wios part, then you would have to use this verb too, like mos moi, I want to eat moose, or bakakwe moi, I want to eat chicken. Yeah, or bakakwe ningwiganan moi, I want to eat chicken wings if you're me. So number 13, you can change that Kwejigos to any food that a speaker would consider animate. So you can change that to anything. So noi moi, I want to eat the animate food, and then whatever it might be. Damen, pizza. Don't ask me how to say pizza because we don't have an English word for it. Pizza's Italian. So we just say pizza in our house because we're not speaking English. So whatever that food is, you can change that. Now, if you want to eat a food that's considered inanimate, you cannot use noi moi. You cannot use the word in number 13. You got to switch gears totally to a transitive verb used for an inanimate object. So in this case, minan, berries. Those are at least how I speak the language and how I was taught in my dialect. A mean would be one blueberry. I don't think your kid would say they just want one blueberry. They wouldn't say mean nui mi jin. I want to eat one blueberry, please. I mean, maybe. They probably want to eat a bunch. So mean one berry, meanan bunch of berries. Nui mi jinan. I want to eat them. So mi jin, thanks for highlighting. That's your root verb to eat something inanimate. And then the N at the beginning, that's the me, the we is the wanting to part. And then because we want to eat more than one berry, we got to also pluralize our mijin. So if you're just wanted to eat one piece of food, kwejigan, I want to eat bread. And I've never heard breads in English or Anishinaabe, so you just say "Mukwejigan noi mi jin." I want to eat bread. I'm trying to think of what some other food. Now all I can think of is animate food. Manomen, rice. Manomen noi mi jin. I want to eat rice. So that would be how you would say one. But you could switch your minan for whatever kind of inanimate food it is, and then you're probably going, but I don't know what food is animate and inanimate, and that's fine, because it just takes time. It just takes time to get used to which food is which. Stick with the foods that your kids like to eat. Get comfortable using those and switch it out. It'll come with time. Sorry, I'm just going back to the questions. Is that a glottal stop in number 11? Yes. Sorry, I just saw that now. I actually wanted to spell that so gonna waste a little. I don't want to say waste time on spelling, but it's a spoken language. So it's like, so then I go through this, like, should I spell it how I know it should be spelled, or should I spell it how I hear it so it's easier? So that's a whole other thing. So the root word is none, to breastfeed someone. And then so this one actually works similar to gezagen or zage, like I love you or to love someone. So that root is spelled similarly, like it's ZAAGI glottal stop. So a glottal stop really means is like, and I'm not a good speaker, So like take this with a grain of salt, but Ejin Sestamagini, how I understand it, is your breath is stopping no ne, like that, as opposed to no ne. I don't know if you could even hear a difference, but technically it is there. So I go through the same thing with Gezogen. We say it so fast here because I don't know, because we talk fast and we drop short vowels and that kind of thing. So if I spelt it how like a linguist might want me to spell it, it would be Gezogen in, right? Gezogen in. But because we say it faster, it's Gezogen. Same thing with that one. So I kind of spelt it like how it should be spelt, Gui known in, Gui known in. So it just depends on how fast or slow you want to say it, Gui known in or Gui known in. I don't know if hopefully that helped a little bit. But that one I was really debating with the spelling of that. Miigwech and thank you for asking me. Okay, number 15. This is easy to say. Kimizina, did you poop? Pretty straightforward. Everyone does it. Kinawea mizi. Uh, so mizi, that's your word to defecate. It's funny, like in English, there's so many different ways you could say it. There's like a little bit nicer, politer ways to say it. You know, there's a little bit more crass ways to say it. I find in Anishinaabe there's just one way to say it. Um, did you poop? Um, yeah, that kind of thing. Anyway, so Measy, he or she poops. That's your root word there. He or she is pooping or it poops, whatever, however you want to translate it. Again, we're just getting at the function, not the direct word for word translation. Once we add the key, that would be the did you part. What it actually, so here we're going to go back to spelling again. What actually happened, how I would think of this is Gamizi would, if I just took Measy and put the letter G in front, Gamizi, I would be saying you're pooping. Again, I wouldn't, if someone was pooping, I wouldn't go up and tell them that. They know that they're doing it, but I might say, Gamizi, na, are you pooping? You know, when the toddlers, they get real quiet and they go stand in the corner of a room and you Gamizi, na, you know that's what they're doing. If you think they already did it, ich bin Jajid Gimizit, then you would add the tense gi at the front for he or she pooped. So you wouldn't say in Minnesota, they would still say gagi mizina or did you poop? Here in the eastern region in Ontario, um, we would say either, so when you see it actually, yeah, go write that back again, how you had that gigi. Because those are the gigi. So like those are the steps, the way it's written right now. That's actually like as myself as a learner, how I'm like conjugating in real time is the gi is the past tense and the g at the front is the u. In Minnesota, where they love their short vowels and they keep them, they would say gigi mizina. Here, you might sound a little funky. So we would drop that short I in the middle and we would have like two G's beside each other. But you wouldn't hear it like that. So a speaker is either going to say Gimme Zina, like it's just one G, or like especially an Odawa speaker, like Manitoulin area, when those two G's are beside each other, it sounds like a K. Because if you think of like the letter G and the letter K, I honestly think in Anishinaabe it's somewhere in between there. Like we have a letter that's somewhere in between, and we're making do with this Roman alphabet or whatever. So they're either gonna go for Gimizina, Dijipu, or Kimizina. Yeah, so that's where that's coming from. And then the na, yes, no question. Same thing for number 16. Kishishigna, did you pee? Jishige is actually the root verb as I understand it. He or she is peeing. when you're changing it to me or you drop the short vowel at the end, so you wouldn't say ki she gena because it wouldn't a speaker wouldn't understand you. So you would drop that I at the end, and then you would have ki she gna. Did you pee? So it's following the same pattern as number 15. It's just a different word. So did you do this? Did you do that? It's gonna start with gi or ki, and it's gonna end with na. Okay. Gego na Quiquedwem. We're up to weighing Gada Memegwa. We're halfway. Is there any other questions before we continue on? I'm gonna take a drink of my bubbly.
Allie and I work with a language committee. We're led by the Anishinaabe coordinator, and we have a committee that oversees our program and the things that are put out by the Anishinaabe Nation. And one of the things that we were looking at developing was the signage for the bathrooms, unisex bathrooms. And it really surprised me at how much discussion can come up when you least expect it, because then they started talking about different words for whether or not he pees or she pees, or those kinds of things. So there's just so much learning to do. I just thought I would add that in.
That's what
You know,
you were reminding me of that too, when we had that conversation around like which verb you use for a boy peeing and for a girl peeing. Oh.
I'm glad you brought that up because like I was like, should I go there? So it's good to know that that you've encountered the same discussion too. So I think what you're referring to is some people use the word zakam to go pee, and then and then and then shishiga is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I've heard that too. I've heard like Zakam, it would only be Quayoke women that do that, and then Jishige would be boys or only boys, that kind of thing. And like the debate is still, I haven't myself, I've been asked, it's kind of a weird thing to ask an elder. Hey, do you Zakam or do you Shishig? Um, but I haven't, if any, I actually know Amy. I see Amy in the chat there. I wonder how she understands it because I think I first heard that in Chiging maybe. Um, and so I've heard that too, but I asked different people and they're like, no. So I think it was our elder here in Majikaning Rama, Glenda Snake. I believe it was her that I asked her about this. She's actually technically not from Rama. She's from Chimnasing, but married into the community here. So a little bit different, but she understood Jishig as like as anyone to pee. Um, so I was like, okay, well, let's go with that because these are the words we use here in Rama. But if anyone wants to sound off in the chat, so that's why I went with that one too. So I guess it depends. And it's funny because um I find Anishinaabe is actually very gender inclusive, and it's our English minds that is adding that spin on things. So there's a couple ways you could say teacher, for example. You could say ekinomaget, so the one who teaches, and you're just specifying it's a third person that does that action. You're not saying if it's a woman or a man. So I really like that. Same with the our personal pronoun ween would be a third person. You're not saying if it's a he or she. And then all of these verbs, it's just talking about a singular third person. And then like what's happening, it might be, I suspect, because it's easier for us to say kinomage kwe, like a teacher lady, or kinomage nina, a teacher man. But I usually try to refrain from those because our language is already so gender inclusive. So that's my little spiel. We got to stop doing that because you really don't know, and the language is already there for that. And so I wonder if, like, I don't know if that's going. I'm just thinking out loud now. Um,
So Amy's
but
added in the chat
yeah.
there.
So gi wind mock boa nani buya zakam. So I use no zakam, then my guasabadek na shig. Um, So I was told when I'm not standing. Is that what you're saying? Okay, I can see that. If she stood to pee, okay. I could see that. Well, I mean, like, I'm sure you could do it, Amy. I'm sure you could stand. Okay. Maybe that might settle it. I'm gonna rate that miigwech for letting us know. I'm gonna do some more, take my little notebook and start asking my elders more inappropriate questions.
Lori, do you remember what was told to us that day? Like when we had this conversation about it?
It was similar to what Amy says in the chat there, that it's
Yeah.
about standing and sitting.
A little bit about that. I seem to recall this person also talking to us about like, you know, like it's spraying, like shooting out.
Ah, that's awesome.
Anyway,
But
these are the things that come up.
yeah, and you know what? Like, I suspect if we were speaking Anishinaabe, it like things aren't as taboo, like bodily functions, and like the language is just a lot more direct. And like we would be laughing and joking about it, but it might not be no, it would for sure be funny because that's how speakers are. They're real funny. But I think it would be yeah, like it's just pretty straightforward, right? You're peeing, you're pooping, you're whatever. Anyway.
You're sitting up, you're standing.
Okay, number 17, let's go outside. Like this one too, there's a couple ways we could say that. There's some real fancy ways. There's different ways. There's always a million ways to say it in Anishinaabe. I was thinking of who might be using this book. It might be a learner or a parent or a teacher. And what's the easiest way to say it? Ombe gwajing. So ombe, come on, let's do this, that, gwajing, outside. Um, so there's actually no verbs there. Gwajing, that's your outside, and your ombe, you're like, let's go, come on, that kind of thing. If you wanted to be a little bit more fancier and add a verb in there, you could say ombe ja da gwajing. Come on, let's go outside. So ja to go somewhere and da let's. So ja da let's go. You could even just say that. Ja da gwajing. But ombe gwajing, that's a nice easy one. Number 18, Guicod anemone. I want to braid your hair. Um, Trying to think. Just such a nice word, such a nice phrase. My son had long hair and he cut it, so I'm getting kind of sad, but I want to braid your hair. So again, we're seeing the pattern there when I'm doing something to you, it's going to start with a G and end with an N. The we part is you're stating volition. It's called the volitional tense. So when you do something out of your own volition, you're intending to, you're wanting to do it. So it's either going to be I want to or I'm going to. Cod animal, that's braid his or her hair. That's your root verb there. So pretty straightforward for that one. Number 19. Anish. Oh yeah. So before I forget, if you have the paper Iso Mazinigan, Manda, there's actually a typo, and I believe that was on my end, so I apologize for that. So if you look at the 19th, um, there's a H missing in Gajadige Gamgong. So it says Gazadige Gamgong. And when I caught the typo, when I was looking at these PowerPoint slides, I tried to type it to Lori. Oh, I found a typo. And then it typed it again without the H. So that's why I think it was me. I think it was my autocorrect. Or if you're typing in Anishinaabe, it's auto mistake. So I apologize for that, but there's an H there. So if you have your calendar, you might want to fix that. My apologies. Okay, so let's go through this. So Gaja de I don't know if I really hear that here in Rama. So although I'm a band member in Rama and I live here, we moved away from Rama when I was 6, and then I was raised in my mom's community in Atikomiksing outside of Sudbury. And all of our teachers back then were from Minnedominus, Manitoulin. And so that's a lot of the dialect that I speak. So I'm from here. I don't have the beautiful sing-song kind of speak that that the Rama speakers do. So I'm not sure if Gajadage would be used here. I think the daycare here is just called the Benoji Suk Kinomage Gamgong, the kids' school, I guess. Anyway, so Gajadage could be to house sit or to babysit. You know from the context of this when you're talking to your kid that they're not house sitting somewhere, that they're being watched. So I decided to go for that one. So gajadige is to house sit or to babysit or to watch after, that kind of thing. Gamik is a building. So gajadige gamik would be a daycare. But when you're talking about them being at a daycare, that's where you're seeing that OONG. It's called a locative ending. Could end in a ong, ing, ong, that kind of thing. So you'll hear a lot of our communities because they're at a location, Wei Kwem Kong, at that spot, Chiging, Majikaning, they're all ending in that locative identifier. So Gajadige Gamek, daycare, Gajadige Gong, in, at, on the daycare, that kind of thing. Next part. So the root, so again, because I love my verbs, because Anishinaabe is heavy on the verbs. My root verb in this whole sentence would be nunki. So that is to do something. How I hear the speakers here is they say nucky, I believe, without the other N. You could say that too, Anishka nucky, and yeah, it would still make sense. So nunki is one way to say you're doing something. Again, we're starting with nunki, do something. We're adding the yin at the end, so I know that it's you that's doing something. And then the ga is past tense. So the original past tense for ga was gi. But what we're doing here is we're kind of switching that action almost into like a noun instead of like you're doing it or when you're doing it. The thing that you did is kind of how I understand that. So the gi is changing to ga. So you end up with ga nankian. So how I understand ga nankian, the thing that you did, right? And then the anish is the what. So anish ga nankian, you could say that too. You could simplify it even more. So what did you do, right? Or anish ga nankian nangwa or nangom. What did you do today? Yeah. Now, na. Do I want to even try to describe that? So I'm going to say you don't necessarily need that na there. Anish ga nankian gajadige gamgong. What did you do at daycare? When I hear a speaker though, I hear a lot of times Anish na ga nankian. It's kind of like, I don't know how to describe what the difference is. Trying to think. I don't know. I don't want anyone to write me down and quote me for sure. But like how I hear, Anishnaga Nunkian, it's like, oh, what'd you get up to? Like that's kind of how it sounds to me. Whereas your Anishka Nunkian, what did you do? It's a little bit more formal. So those nas, that's a particle. It's like maybe like an emphatic particle. So you'll hear speakers sprinkle these throughout sa, gua, na, sagona, all of those things. In English, we're using our like our inflection to indicate like feeling, emotion, questions, right? Did you have fun? What did you do today? You can hear that inflection indicating that's a question. And it's not to say that our speakers don't have inflections, but they rely on those little particles. And those are the tiny little pieces that myself as a learner, I'm like just barely starting to scratch at the surface. So be careful with them. You might sound rude if you're just throwing sa's and guas in there. But if you hear it used a lot in a particular context, you're safe to use it. So you could simplify this a lot, right? Anishka Nankian, what did you do? Right? Or Anishnaga Nankian, what did you get up to? What'd you do? It's just, I don't know, sounds a little bit more fluentish. And then the Gajadige Gumgong is where you're at. So you can change that too, actually. If your kid is older, you can switch out Gajadige for Kinomage. Anishnaga Nankian Kinomage Gumgong. What'd you do at school today? If they're a little bit older. But I decided to go for Gajadige because I feel like most people are they know what a Kinomage Gamik is. Okay, Nishtana. Apish Gadam Nawagan. Where's your doll or your toy? Apish, that's your where question. In Rama, I hear ondish for where. And I want to say Christian Island. I know definitely Wasauksing, they say Ashma. So it kind of depends on your dialect. I'm most comfortable with Apish for where, so that's your where. So you can change that to however your community speaks. And then again, dialect thing, how I speak Dumna is to play. So Dumna Wagon is like your toy, your doll, that thing you play with. The G at the front is yours. So where is your toy? I'm trying to think of how they say toy here in Rama because they don't use Dumna for play. They use Jika or Dajika. I cannot remember now. Apish. Yeah, I think it depends. Trying to think. And some people will understand Dumnawagan as a doll or little stuffy, and some people will understand it as a toy. Let me get back to you guys. Someone remind me before we finish how they say toy here. Okay, so that's that one, pretty straightforward. And number 21, this was Rhea Snake, one of our elders here at Wasanabajik Immersion Nest. I wanted to say I love you no matter what. This is what she gave me. Munch go geja web de gwen geabigwa gezagen. So this is one that I couldn't just come up with on my own. And Ria is also from Chimnasing, but has lived in Rama for a long time. She's a band member here now because she married in. So that's where that's coming from. So Munj go gejaweb de gwen. Whatever happens, whatever may happen, that's what that part means. Geabe, still. Go, there's that particle again. Geabe gwa. Let's finish this sentence. Gezagen, I love you. So again, there's that particle gwa. How I understand geabe gwa gezagen, it's kind of geabe. You could say geabe gezagen, but it just sounds a little bit fuller with that go in there. Munchgo gesheweb de gwen geabe gwa gezagen. It sounds a little bit more like not like an exclamation mark, but almost like it's a little bit more emphasizing, I guess you could say. So that's that one. Okay. Number 22. This one's my favorite. Everyone write this one down. Bochko goija. You're going anyway. Um, we use this one a lot. So there's that ja. That's your root verb in this whole sentence. So again, it's very verb based. So when I'm thinking about how I'm saying something, knowing that it's all verb based in language, I'm always like, okay, what's my root verb? That's what I'm starting with. So ja, he or she goes or is going somewhere. We, going to, wants to. The G at the front is you are. So guija, you're gonna go. And then the boat, like regardless, anyways, that kind of thing. And there's that go again. So in this case, that feeling that's coming, you're adding that feeling into it, right? I don't want to go, I don't want to go anyways, see, right? Doesn't matter, going anyways, boch go guija. So there's that go again. It's adding that little bit more emphaticness that feeling is in it. So that's what that one means. Number 23, Lindsay, I don't want to call anyone out. I wonder if she's still here. We were up at the Wiki Powwow, my family, and I think my oldest Bidasiga was saying that to Lindsay. I remember her saying, "How do you say that again?" He told her to hold his hand. Zagin Kashin, hold my hand. So your root verb there is Zagin, wait. Zagin Cash. I think there's a typo there. I think that N, I'm trying to look at my calendar. Zagin Cash. So your root verb is Zagin Cash, hold his or her hand. And then when you're adding that shin, now you're saying, you're doing it to me, right? So you could say that to your kid, Zagin Cash, Gashime, hold your little sibling's hand, right? Hold his or her hand. Skin Keshin, hold my hand. Actually, I was talking to Lindsay about this too. We were debating if that N should be there or not. I guess I would say no, because I don't want you to say Zigin Kenshin. It's almost, so I would almost say that N shouldn't be there. Zigin Keshin, like that. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay. So that's that one, number 23. Number 24, Manungwaman, sleep well. How a beginner, now here's where I was like really overthinking it. You could say Mano Naban for sleep well. And I think a lot of people understand that one and use that one. So I wanted to give you something a little bit fancier. So Manan Guam would be the root verb. He or she sleeps well. You see that mana is the good part. And then verbs that end in Guam have to do with some manner of sleeping. She de Guam, they peed the bed. Bopoga de Guam, they were farting and farting while sleeping. Bigwe John and Guam, to snore while sleeping. So you hear a lot of those sleeping words end with Guam. And then the un part at the end is turning it into a command. Manunguaman. So I was trying to give you guys a fancy one for sleep well. If you have more than one kid, you would change that N to a K, Manunguamak. So sleep well, you guys. Same thing for 25. Gazine G, he or she is washing their hands. When you add an N, now I'm turning it into a command. Gazine Jean, wash your hands. If you're telling more than one person, you would change that N to a G or a K, whichever you prefer. Really, it's somewhere in between. Gazine Jeek, wash your hands. It's hard for me. I always want to say Gazibi Ganinjin. That's another way to say wash your hands, but I wanted to go for something not as long and difficult. So there's two ways you could say it, but I decided to go with the learner friendly. How do you say fart? Bogade, he or she farts. Good question. Miigwech. My son says, Kinawi bogade, everyone farts. Number 26, Bangnin Jean, dry your hands. So I believe I asked Barb Nolan how to say dry your hands, and that was the one she gave me. So you'll hear that bang at the front is having to do with drying, like I want to say like a drying cloth. Bengal gun would be like a tea towel, I guess. And then the ninj, it's your hands. The E part is like referring to an action involving your hands, and then the N is making it a command. And again, if it was more than one person, bang ninjik. So wash your hands. Nishina shid nijoswe anskonyen, change your clothes. So the root verb there is anskonye. He or she changes their clothes. So there's that AAN at the front again for changing. We heard that again when we're talking about changing someone's diaper. Goi anpinen, starting with that N, or AAN. So it's there again. And the kunya at the end is like usually regarding how someone's wearing or dressing. Biskonya, I wonder if that's another word we have on here. He or she gets dressed. Biskonien, you get dressed. Giskonia, they're getting undressed. Anskonia, they're changing their clothes. Okay. Miigwech zagategi bajayan. Thanks for coming. Number 28. Giskan. Take off an item of clothing. So I'm thinking, oh, they're getting changed. You're giving them tips on how to get changed. They're taking something off and putting something on. So you would say giskan, take off whatever that may be. Now here's where it gets tricky again when we're talking about our animate and inanimate. If the clothing is considered living, you wouldn't use giskan. You would use gisko. So it depends on what it is. Luckily, not a lot of clothing is considered animate. I can only think of like a napkuagan, which could be a necklace or a tie or a scarf, something you wear around your neck. That would be a napkuagan. So you would say gisko napkuagan, take the or debuggy swanis, a watch. But most clothes you can get by are considered in at Giskan. Giskan kisnan, take your shoes off. Giskan miknout, take the pants off. Giskan kabagwayan, take your shirt off. Or you can just say Giskan. If you change that G to a B, Biskan, now you're putting it on. So one tiny little change there and you totally change the meaning of it. So Biskan, put it on. Giskan, take it off. Gisko, take him or her off, the napkwagen. Or Bisko, put the napkwagen on. Number 29, Waganesh Wagindaman. What do you want to read? So we're going back to, I think the other question that followed this pattern was, what do you want to eat? Waganeshwamijian. That was for Medasva Shanij. It's following the same pattern here, but we've just changed the root verb from Mijin, eat something, to Gindan, read something. Wewena Damnan, number 30, play nice. So Damna, play. Damnan, play, like you're telling someone to play. And then the wena is the like nicely, carefully, that kind of thing. You can change that N to a G or a K if it's a bunch of kids. Wena damnak. So play nice, you guys. Put your toys away. 31. Skakanan gadamnawanan. Skakanan, put it away. That's what that root is. And then damnawin would be a toy. Damnawinan, more than one toy, so toys. And then the G at the front is the your part. So it's gakanan gadamnawinan. Put your toys away. So that's the month of Dutgogavin Gizis, Blackberry Moon, August. It's 3:38. I'm gonna ask one of my moderators what happens next. What do you guys, Waganish Wanankiek, what do you all want to do?
We're good to continue.
Okay. Extra phrases. It's been a while. Lori, I gave these to you too, and they didn't make the cut. Is that
We had asked for extra phrases for 50 phrases in case there was repetition between the contributors, and we saved the extra phrases for the Zoom presentations. Since it
gotcha?
was only 31 days in the calendar, we only used 31 of the phrases.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you much. I know I can tell I wrote these, but I just couldn't remember what was going on. Okay, so that's the background to these. Bon talk migaziek. Stop fighting. Oh my goodness. I hope we didn't have to. Well, yeah, you will have to say that. So bon ta is to stop. That's your root verb there. He or she stops. Again, I'm talking to more than one person. So when I add the K or the G, however you want to spell it at the end, I'm telling a group of you to stop. Bon talk, stop. Migazo is another root verb, he or she fights. But I want to say, so what's going on here is I can just say bon talk, stop, right? All you guys stop. But I want to speak a little fuller what it is that I want them to stop doing. So when you see that part fighting, what's going on here is, okay, so I could say stop, right? Bone talk, stop. It's a full sentence. You understand what I'm getting at. If I just said to you fighting, you're like, fighting what? Like, what are you? I'm not saying a full phrase, a full sentence. I'm just saying like parts of one. So when I see that word fighting, I know that I have to switch how I conjugate the verb to you all are fighting to when if y'all are fighting. So that yeg at the end is you all plural. So if we look at like number 33, Anisha Joabzian, what's wrong with you? That yin at the end is telling me it's just one you. If I changed it to Migaz, if I changed it Ejwebziek, what's wrong with y'all? Now the person listening knows I'm talking to more than one you. So that's what's going on in the top part, Migaziek. It's kind of like if I just heard Migaziek, I'm hearing when you all are fighting. So that's what's going on there. Bon talk, migaz yek. Stop fighting. And the yek is telling me who's doing the fighting. So in English, it's a little bit more passive. We're not saying, like, I'm saying, like, you guys stop fighting, but I'm not explicitly saying it the way Anishinaabe is always going to have a person marker. So that's what's happening there. Bon talk, migaz yek. So y'all stop fighting, y'all. Number 33, we were just talking about this earlier. I think when I was using the word Apishkagidzian, where does it hurt? On number 2 or number 2. So Anishejawebzian. You would use this, hear this a lot when let's say you're a teacher, you're out on the playground, and then a kid comes up to you and they start crying. You say, "Oh no, Anishejawebzian. So what's the matter? What happened to you? What's wrong?" That kind of thing. So the Anish is the what, and then Jawebze is your root. Something happened to someone. The yin is the you, and then the that e at the front is the present tense. So Anisha Jawebzian, what's wrong? What happened to you? And again, we can switch that yin ending to yeg if it's more than one. Anisha Jawebzieg, what's wrong with y'all? Anisha Jaweb Zawad, what's wrong with them? That kind of thing. So usually you would use it to just one person. Skakin again, number 34, tidy up. We use this one a lot at Wasa and Obajik. I think a lot of people know Beanchigan for clean up. But we prefer to use Skakinega because we're not like giving the kids brooms and Windex and they're not scrubbing down the tables. That'd be cool if they did. We're just telling them to put away their toys. So Skakinega can actually mean like to store something or put things away. So that's really all that you're asking the kids. We're asking the kids to do. So Skakinega, he or she stores things, puts things away. Skakin you do it. If you're talking to your whole classroom, more than one kid, you would change that N to a G or a K, however you Skakinegek. Or you can include yourself in it. Let's all tidy up. Skakinegeda. So there's a couple of things you could do with that, but I like that word Skakinege. Before I forget, I want to read Lori's question. I live in Nipissing, and if I were to say Anisha Jawebzian, it'd be interpreted as what's wrong with you in an abrupt way. Depending on your tone, it may be regarded as unkind. Oh, that's good to know. Do they say Anish Indian there? Because that one is rude to me. What's wrong with you?
They don't use Anish. They would say Ande or something like that. But yeah, I was one of the things that I learned when I first moved here because at home, I'm from Chiging, it's very commonly used.
Yeah. Okay. And Nipissing, like I don't know a lot of Nipissing dialect, but I know your son Falcon, and I'm like, holy geez, that's really different. It's like it's quite different from a lot of other places. Yeah. So like definitely double check. Most of the time though, like let's say you came to my lesson and you're in Ipsing and you're like, "Oh, what's wrong?" and then you go use that and it sounds kind of rude. A speaker is not going to take it that way. They know that you're learning. And then they'll tell you in a kind way like Lori shared with us. So that's the other thing. It can mean the same thing, but it might have a different connotation depending on where you are. If you're a very beginner though, like a lot of us right now, we're not in a position to like be picky and choosy with dialect. So I would say like learn anything you can, and then you'll get those corrections once you get a little bit more advanced, and then you can be um I don't want to say picky, but you can zero in on a dialect. And it's really good. It is good to pick one and sound, so you want to sound like you're from somewhere. You can tell by how someone talks where they're from. Okay, number 35, Simdana Shinanin, Goshkadan Ganagin, scrape your plate. While we're on dialect, they say something different here in Rama. They say gosh gun or oh, I can't remember. They sound so similar, but almost different. Anyway, so gosh godan is to literally scrape something. Noggin is a plate, and there's that G at the front. So your plate, right? So scrape your plate. Gosh godan ganoggin. Number 36, Gaziabadea or Gaziabadeo, depending on where you're from. He or she brushes his teeth. When you add the N at the end, now I'm telling you to brush your teeth. Gaziabadin. Again, Gaziabadek if it's more than one. This one's cool. Number 37, Gaziabadegan. Toothbrush. That's a new one I learned from Monty McGackie. No one could tell me what toothbrush is, and that's what they use. So there's something kind of cool happening here. A lot of times if you hear a word that ends in a verb that ends in a "ga," this one actually doesn't, but it's kind of borrowing the same rule. If you have a word that ends in a "ga," I'm trying to think of a good word. Like vacuuming. Wikwa Sijiga, he or she is vacuuming. You can take that "ga" and turn it into a gun. And now it becomes the thingy, whatever that action is. So if he's Wikwa Sijiga vacuuming, then the vacuum cleaner is a Wikwa Sijigun vacuum cleaner. So that's what's happening there. So if you get stuck on a word, try to think of what the verb is for it. Not all the time, but if it, like this one, Gaziyabade, it actually doesn't end in Gaziyabadiga. But I think it's kind of borrowing a rule. So a lot of times too, we got to make up words. So I just wanted to share that little tip. Number 38, Asna Angwamsin. Me as a beginner, I just want to say Angwamsin. Be careful. The Asna is like, hey, smarten up, be careful. So you're just adding a little flavor to your word there. And again, if it's more than one kid, Asna Angwamzik. Be careful, you guys, that kind of thing. Number 39, Anigia. What was that? So someone says something, you didn't hear them. Anigia. So I didn't hear you. What was that? You're just asking them to say it again. Number Manjgonaidik. I don't know. That's my favorite one. My son is at that age where it's Anidash, why? Manjgonaidik. I don't really know. If you wanted to shorten it, you could just say Manjidik. But again, there's those particles go and na that's making you sound a little bit more fluent than you might be. Manjgonaidik. That's what that one is. Mim bewin bayin. It's time for bed. So we're looking to the only verb in this sentence is naba, sleep. Yin, that's the you part. We telling you to go and do it. The be is like right now, it's time to do it. So if there's like a regular bedtime, like a beginner might want to say onban, go to sleep, or onbak, go to sleep. But this one I use more when I'm telling them, it's bedtime, it's about that time. Mim bawin bayan, so it's time for sleep. Nagam da, let's sing. So nagamo is the root, he or she sings. You're adding da and you're making it let's. You could say it's hard to say it, nagama da. It doesn't flow as nice. We love to drop short vowels here. So 9 times out of 10, you'll hear nagam da for let's sing. Nangach. Here's another spelling one. You don't need that second N in there. You could say Nangach or Nangach. I like to say it like Nangach, so that's how I spelt it. Nangach, slowly, softly, that kind of thing. You can use it as an adverb to like specify how like Nangach Jabiga, they're writing real slow. Or Nangach Stemna, they're playing real softly, slowly. Or you can just remind them, if they're doing something too recklessly, careless, Nangach, right? Slowly, especially when they're walking inside, that kind of thing. So that's what that means. Where depending on where you come from, wena. That's how they would say it here in Rama. If you go to the island, wena, a little bit faster. Carefully or slowly. Same thing with that one. That's an adverb. You can add that to your verbs to talk about the manner and how something might be done. Wena gigadan, talk nicely, right? You're using nice words and you're talking so nice. Wena nishnavema, they speak so carefully and nicely in the language, that kind of thing. Okay, so this one's a long one. No wonder it didn't make the cut. We were trying to teach the kids to look both ways before you cross. There was no simple way to say it. And you'll run into this a lot when you're learning, and that's okay. It's nice how direct and clear Anishinaabe one is. So this is we had to describe like literally what did the kids have to do before they cross the street. So Nabin Ode, you might want to point, look over there. So Nabin, look. Ode is there. Meanwhile, and Nabin Ode, look over there. Jibwa to come sayin before you cross Mikanong, the road. So Mikan, road, Mikanong, on or at the road. We can change this if you have more than one kid with you. We can change some of this to plural. So when you're looking at Nabin, you would change that N to a G or a K. And then in Tecumseh Yin, that's one person crossing something as they walk. Yeah, Tecumseh. So now so that's all you had to do to change it to plural. Nabikode, look over there. Minwa, Nabikode, look over there. Jibwa Tecumseh before you cross walking Mikanong, the road. Yeah. So yeah, it's nice though when you got little ones because you're being very specific with what you're talking about. Number 46, Bazan de bin, sit still. I think in Rama it's Bazan bin, sit still. So you hear how things are like so similar but tiny bit different. You'll hear that Bazan at the front of words to talk about something, yeah, I guess still quiet. If the water is like perfectly still like glass, Bazan Agamisin. So there's that Bazan at the front. Or hand up if I'm guilty if you're Anishinaabe teachers to say Bazan Yan. Be quiet, be still, that kind of thing. So that Bazan is the still part. Words that end in dabe or abe have to do with sitting, and then that N, I should say, is the command. And you could change that to a K, Bazan debik, right? For more if you got a whole classroom full of kids, sit still. Optojinshin, hug me. You could say optojishik. Would you tell a bunch of people to hug you? I guess so. You want to do a group hug. There's another one too that mine might change from dialect to dialect. Abto is like describing you're hugging around the waist halfway up to. I've heard a couple other ways too. I'm not familiar with them all. I just use what I know. Like I think they have a different word out in Minnesota and they're talking about hugging around this area region, but that's the only one I know. And the one I hear, Optojin. So there's that shin to me, right? Manda Biskan, number 48, put this on. So Manda, this, Biskan, put it on, right? I don't know what I have for number 49. I wonder if I did animate next or not. So this is just something inanimate. Oh, I guess that's it. If it was some like your Nopquagan, again going back to something animate, Maba, him or her, Bisco, put him or her on. Not him or her, but the Nopquagan. So animate, inanimate. I guess that's it.
Chimigwech, that was fantastic. I really enjoyed the session. We're so glad that you were able to come and join us, Jessica. We've been waiting.
Amigo Gainy, it was a lot of fun. It was nice that you guys did the PowerPoint for me. I was like, oh, I'm getting spoiled here. Is there any questions before we finish?
I do see something in the chat, but I didn't look. I think we got some thank yous going on in the chat. Marcy is sharing the link to watch it again for those that maybe had to leave earlier if they want to check it out again. Of course, we're very, very grateful to have you join us and to share all these phrases. I think Lori and I, we have lots of, I don't know, sheroes or heroes out there in Anishinaabemowin. And you come up on the list for us where we're like, ooh, let's ask this person. Ooh, let's ask this person. Or like, let's ask Jessica. So, really glad to have you join us, especially knowing, your schedule in the days ahead. So we appreciate that you've taken the time to share with us today and to share the language, and just really happy to know that you're out there doing the work and raising, your kids in the language as well. So Chimigwech for that. Of course, we also wanted to share that our next webinar will be coming up on August the 28th. So this will be with Falcon McLeod, Nipissing First Nation. He'll be sharing phrases to use in the classroom. The registration link should be posted soon. And of course, we want to say Gitchimigwech to everybody who's joined us here today. So Miigwech Kivishaliak. If you have any questions for us, you can reach us via our emails, and we're always happy, to hear what's going on out there in Anishinaabe King and with Anishinaabe. So feel free to reach out to us anytime. And thanks again, Jessica, for joining us and sharing with us and teaching us today.
My
Miigwech.
pleasure.